¿Qué lo que hay, mi gente? Welcome to Let's Hablar podcast, brought to you by Hablemos Productions. Vamos a hablar. Hey, everybody, what's good? Welcome to Let's Hablar podcast. So today we have, of course, myself, Maya Ladies Siete, and we also have a special guest, Meli715 from TikTok. Hi, Prima. How are you doing?
Hello. Good. How you
Hi,
guys doing?
prima.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for coming on such short notice. So, we had another guest who was going to join us, but he had an emergency, could not come. And of course, as always, we have Kai and Clara.
Hi.
So, today we're going to talk chisme, how much chisme is too much chisme, how much of it is unnecessary. So, for example, a lot of the reality teen stars, their stuff is coming out even though they're no longer on reality TV, such as Kaylin Lowry with her fourth baby daddy drama. She has 4 baby daddies and now has 7 children. 2 with her third baby daddy, 1 with her ex-husband, and 1 with the one that she had when she was 16. And now she has 3 with the 4th baby daddy. And she has kept it pretty quiet as to the 3 new children. Her third baby daddy, I feel like he's a little salty. He's throwing out, he leaked the pregnancy with her 5th child. He is stating the custody agreement drama that he has, such as him asking for Halloween, her trying to compromise, saying, look, I want Thanksgiving. I will give you all of Christmas week because technically you only have them Christmas Eve. And I don't celebrate Christmas, so you can have them all of Christmas break. He did not want to adjust the custody agreement to benefit him in the fact that he wanted Christmas to begin with, and instead called her a bitter baby mama. She hasn't released any information about her new partner and the children with her new partner, but he's putting it out there. So how much of their life should be kept private? In my point of view, I think that if it's something that they're keeping private, I don't think that anyone else should leak it out, especially when you have children with that person, because it just makes things messy. It makes the dynamic between co-parents very difficult, because how much can you hide from them and to make sure that your kids are good, and how much can you release to them without the fear of it being in the public eye? My opinion, I think he sounds like a bitter baby father because she was trying to work with him with giving him the extra time and giving him the time that he wanted. So yes, you can have, Halloween, but you can also have all of Christmas. I just want Thanksgiving. That to me felt a little odd. So I want to know first from the moms of this particular episode, how do you feel when it comes to celebrity custody issues? How much of it is important to know and how much of it is it just juicy gossip? I'll start with Meli.
I don't care, to be honest. Especially like with her, like I really don't have an opinion, honestly. I mean, she's free to have as many kids as she wants to have with as many baby daddies as she wants to have them. Um, she doesn't really owe us anything to tell us, who the baby daddy is. Um, or anything that's happening with their own personal lives as far as like custody battles or anything like that. So I really personally don't care what she does with her
Mm-hmm.
kids. As blunt as that sounds, I don't care.
Clara, you?
I agree. Especially when kids are involved, whether you're a celebrity or a regular schmegular person like we are, when there's kids involved in any type of dispute, whether it be over custody, whether it be over visitation, I feel that I mean, it shouldn't be put out there because at the end of the day, it's affecting the kids, not us as the adults, you know? So I really don't care, really, because it's their life. They're nothing to me. Now, if she was family, then it affect me. You know, hey, that's my cousin or that's my sister. I don't want her going through all of this and putting the kids through that. But in general, as a mama, like Melly said, the kids are involved, so it's to me, it should just not even be out there, regardless if they're celebrities or not. That's something that they should handle amongst themselves and not put the kids out there and put the kid, oh, this is their dad or this is that. And they don't. So to me, it, in reality, it doesn't matter to the extent of because they're nobody to me, but not because the kids don't matter or anything like that. It's just, I really don't care.
Mm.
Mhm.
So basically, for both of you guys, it would be unnecessary chisme. Like, no one needs
Yeah.
to know your custody issues for you, with your kids and your baby daddies.
I don't.
I
You.
think my question for them is more of along the lines of like, do you think it's, I'm not going to say necessarily like wrong, but do you think it's like disrespectful for the baby daddy to kind of put that business out there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that everything that, they especially because you're a person that your life is like public, right? So eventually the kids grow up and they see what like the dad or the stepdad is saying. Like, I feel like for the kid's sake, he needs to just, zip it and not say anything. Um, and honestly, with them, like, I honestly, I don't know. I mean, I followed Teen Mom when she was a teen mom, and I remember her, but like now, like whatever she's going through, I mean, it's her business, you know?
Mhm.
Mhm.
I really don't
And what
have an
about
care for her too much, to be honest.
she was not my favorite, but I just think it's interesting how like the third baby daddy had the nerve like I'm going to put this out there. But you have two children that you have to co-parent with her. Don't you think that's going to make things more difficult that you're putting her business out there?
Mhm.
It doesn't sit well with me, but I know some people will say it's fair game because she was a
Mm-hmm.
reality TV star, so her life is fair game.
Mm-hmm.
But how much chisme is unnecessary, especially when it has to deal with kids?
Mhm.
I think that's kind of my, and I definitely know that it's probably unpopular kind of opinion that I have because I feel like you opened that door. For me, I am definitely not a fan of the show at all. I don't like that show. Um, I never really have. I've never been a fan of the show, and I think you are opening yourself up. Like you put yourself on that show, and then I get that now all of a sudden you're wanting your life to be private, but you've opened that door. And so now, do I think it's right? No, I don't. I think your life with your children should be private, but you've opened that door. So now that you want that door to kind of be closed, like you kind of already set that expectation. So I don't necessarily think that that's, do I care whether you guys are, what you guys got going on? No, but I never cared even when you were on Teen Mom.
Mhm.
But I don't necessarily think, I think you've already set that expectation. So now you can't go back and be like, no, 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 no. I now want everything to be private. I don't think that's necessarily fair either because
Mhm.
you've already set that precedence that my whole life is on TV. So it's just like other celebrities. You can't be this TV star and have your whole life broadcasted and then backtrack and be like, no, 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 now that I'm in the public eye, I don't want to share this information. So do I think he handled it appropriately? Absolutely not. You have children with this person, whether you think they're bitter baby mama, whether you're a bitter baby daddy, like it goes both ways. Both of you guys are inappropriate. Like you can't backtrack and expect people to no longer be invested just because you want your life to be private. It doesn't work like
Mm.
that.
Yeah,
That's
because
my
there's other
opinion though.
families. Yeah, but you and I talked about that. You
Yeah.
did say I don't like that show, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to take yourself out of that
Right.
whole world, right? Your world was
Hmm.
very public, and then now
And
you're
you were
trying
here for
to,
it. You were here
yeah,
for it. You signed up for that. That was voluntary. Nobody forced you into that life. It's not like you grew up in the limelight, right? It's not like Will and Jada's kids, right? They
Mhm.
were born into that life. They didn't really have that choice. They are not going to continue to have that choice. Like you are who you are. You're born in that. Teen Mom, you chose that life. You chose the baby daddies you chose. They're gonna, and everybody's about their money. Everybody's gonna do and act accordingly because Americans are greedy. Like we want our money. You can't really, you know.
And the
Again,
easier
I
I
do
feel
not think
like.
it's appropriate. I do not think that that whole situation was handled appropriately. But again, I don't have kids, so I can't.
Well, it's like if you have like now, even if you're not a celebrity, but if you have like a bitter baby daddy that will probably post your business on Facebook, or
Right.
is it
For
anybody's
real.
business? No, but he's trying to make you look bad, right? So
Uh huh.
Mhm.
same thing with him. Especially people followed her from like being a teen mom when she was 16. Now she's an adult. I'm sure
Hmm.
she has people that care about her followers, fans,
Right.
right? That they followed her journey. So if you portray yourself as being like one type of person, social media or online or on, the TV, and then he knows like a different side of her instead of him being like mature about it. He's like trying to air
Hmm.
her out and be like who she really is, right? Just
Mhm.
kind of trying to, damage her who she is as a person.
Right.
So I don't agree with it. I mean, again, he shouldn't say anything at the end of the day because that's the mother
Hmm.
of his kids. But I mean, it happens every day, outside
Hmm.
of being a celebrity with normal people. I mean, they air people like all the time.
All the time.
Hmm.
So consensus say that child, baby mama, baby daddies is unnecessary chisme in real life and in celebrity life. But
Mhm.
since Kyra did bring up a little bit like the Smith Pickett kids, let's go ahead and divulge into that hot mess because Jada Pickett in her book states that she has been separated from Will Smith for years. So basically, during the Oscars, they were not together. They were separated. They were not going as husband and wife. But when she left the Oscars after he slapped Chris Rock, she said that's when she knew that that was her husband, basically after he assaulted somebody, and how she was proposed to by Tupac. That also came out in her book. Apparently Tupac had alopecia too, allegedly from her recollection of her life. Um, but my thing with her is she says they were separated. Did Will Smith know during the Oscars
That
that they
part.
were separated? Because
Did
I'm not
Will
gonna
know?
smack
Where
somebody.
separated for that long. She was the only one that knew.
Right.
And
In
that,
her
my friends,
mind.
is what we call a sociopath, a pathological liar, and someone with a. I mean, and I'm not trying to. I know this is probably going to be a trigger warning, but mental illness is real, and it comes in so many shapes and forms. It's not just depression. It's not just anxiety. It's not just by mental illness comes in so many different ways. And I feel that when someone is a sociopath and a pathological liar, um, it's I think that's more dangerous than anybody who's schizophrenic or anybody who's bipolar, because these people, again, going back to the children, she's not realizing what she's putting her kids through because she's divulging her life or her thought of whatever her life was, and it's going to come and bite her kids in the ass. And unfortunately, a lot of these kids are brought up in a situation where the parents brainwash them, or again, this is all the kids know, the parents lies, and they tend to um, live off of that. So if somebody ever does say something about their dad or about their mom, I mean, that's going to hurt these kids because in their world, it's a totally different thing. So as celebrities, like you guys said earlier, a lot of them did sign up for it. Even Jada and Will Smith, they signed up for it, knowing that as celebrities, they were going to be stalked or they were going to be put out there. And then when they chose to bring children into this world, again, their children are going to be under the limelight. Their children's lives will be until forever. But with Jada, I mean, I'm scared of her because she's dangerous. She's a very dangerous human being because she's going to damage not just her, I mean, her life's whatever, but her kids' lives, Tupac's legacy and whatnot, like trying to, it's like just so she can live in her own little fantasy world. Sh- uh, you know, who is to say that she is lying and who is to say she's saying the truth? Because he's not here to defend himself. He's not here to say, hey, you know what, I did propose to her, or hey, I did do this, or I he's not here. So to me, I feel that that's kind of wrong too, that she's putting stuff out here when he's not here to say, you know what, yes, she was the love of my life, or you know what, yes. I feel that she has every right to mention her experiences with him. However, because of the things that have transpired since that whole ordeal with him slapping Chris Rock and her, illness or whatnot, I just don't like her. She gives me the hibby jibbies, and she's someone I feel that people need to be scared of because she can do a lot of damage with her words, and her tongue's very,
Mm,
it's veneno to
Sure.
me.
mm,
It's a silent
Yeah.
killer, you know?
She's
yeah.
very manipulative, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
very manipulative.
I feel like, you know how there's, again, trigger warning, right? There's people that suffer from like domestic violence, it's like physical abuse. Like she's like, I feel like she mentally abuses her husband, you know? Because, you know, that red talk, the what is it? That red
That
talk
red
Red
tape.
talk,
table talk.
red
Yeah,
table talk.
that's
Remember,
when I started noticing a lot of things.
remember how she brought him in there, like to talk about the situationship where she was dating like the son's friend,
Friend.
and she just
Hmm.
put him
Entanglement.
fast, and he was like, he looked so uncomfortable, but yet again, like he was agreeing with her, like he doesn't want to like disappoint her.
Yeah,
Um, she's like using that platform to kind of like excuse herself from being, you know, crazy, I guess, you know, in a sense, you know, and I felt so bad for him because I feel like she is manipulative towards him and she
hmm,
kind of controls him, like, you know what I mean? And then later like says, well, the reason that, you know, I did this is because, you know, I didn't feel like you were doing this. So it's like it goes back to him, like it's
it's the
his fault.
gaslighting. It's that it
Uh-huh.
goes back to being in a narcissistic environment and a
Relationship.
gaslighting environment. Again, um, I don't downplay anybody with mental illness, and I mean this respectfully because a lot of us have some type of mental illness, and I include myself in it. What I'm trying to get at is that
Hmm.
sometimes a lot of these people who do have a mental illness do not acknowledge it. And they use, or they know they have it, but they use it to their advantage to hurt others, um, for their own egocentric ideas, like I don't know. She's very manipulative, and I feel that she is very much of a gaslighter. Whatever little episodes I got to watch of her Red Table Talk with other celebrities too, including one time where she interviewed her own mother. It's just, it's always about her. It's always about what happened to her, what she's feeling. She doesn't really allow the other person to have their time or their moment. Oh, but it's because when and then you did this to me, and oh my, I went through this. Remember, mom, and that, like, it has to always come back to her. And I feel that that's scary. That's really scary because a person like that can do more harm than good. And
Mm,
again, children involved. And give me the chisme. I'm a very, I wouldn't call myself chismosa, but very comunicativa. I like to communicate and to be, um, all up in the business. But sometimes, like Maya said, like you can't, there's things you don't need to know. There's, whether it's your personal and you're not a celebrity or you are a celebrity, there's just things we don't need to know about somebody. So,
I
mm,
think,
What scares me the most, I think, is that like we were talking about, like domestic violence is not just physical, right? It's very emotional. And
very.
what is scary and what blows my mind is like growing up, everybody talks about I want a Will and Jada type of love, right? And now looking back and somebody who's been with somebody who was very kind of emotionally manipulative and going through that, right? I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, this is what my generation thought was like this amazing
Mhm.
relationship. And I'm sitting back like, nobody's even like acknowledging, like, yo, Will Smith, that's my boy, right? Like,
mhm.
he's over here going through it and ain't nobody batting an eye. What you mean to tell me that this man just stood up and assaulted one of his close coworkers, friends, whatever, acquaintances, whatever you want to call it, and nobody's even there. They're sitting there applauding him for standing up for his wife, but yet you're not over here even claiming this man. But now, because he went and did something out of his character, because he's claimed that that was out of his character, now you want to, what? That
Yeah.
makes no sense to
Yeah.
me. And that's concerning, because we're now telling people and telling our generation that this is like this is the, we want the Will and Jada like, no, you can keep that. You
Mm-hmm.
can keep that, because I don't ever want to treat my man like that, ever. And if I feel a certain kind of way because you did something, like, we're gonna communicate about that, and we're gonna have a conversation about it, and like, hey, this is how I feel, but I want you to be able to tell me, like, I'm sorry, this is how I feel, and we're gonna have a conversation, and it's gonna be very clear. If we decide we're not in this marriage anymore, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna make sure that it's very clear what that break means. Is
Yeah.
that divorce? Is that we're going to work on each other? Is that we're going to see other people? Is that, what is that? Because this entanglement stuff, that ain't cute. That's not
Mm-hmm.
cute. Like, it, marriage is marriage. We're together, we're committed to each other. If we need some time apart where we just need to clear our heads and be together, but we're still married, we're still married. There ain't no sleeping with nobody else, because we're still in this marriage. There's going to be no confusion. And that Will and Jada love that we're all fantasizing that is like this perfect relationship, that's all fake. And they made that very clear. And we need to make sure that it's very clear to our society that her sitting here and being emotionally abusive to Will, like, that's domestic violence just as much as if Will was putting his hands on her. And let's
Mm-hmm.
not confuse it. And let's call a spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's what's extremely bothersome,
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
For
because
for
we sure did
me,
scrutinize Chris Brown when he was putting his hands on Rihanna.
That's true.
yeah.
Ooh, and that's a good one. I'm all, oh, wait, and there's a backstory to
Like,
So
let's
hold on real
let's
quick
be
on that
real.
backstory. So I think I think Jada's chisme with her book, I think it's unnecessary because of how Clara mentioned your kids. Your kids didn't sign up for the limelight. They did absolutely not. Especially, well, Willow for music, she did music for a while. She hasn't come up with like any new albums that I've heard of. And then Jaden too, he was doing acting and then fashion and all this other stuff. But they did not sign up for the reality type of their life to be out there because they were children when they started doing these things, right? And for me, it's really effed up when you come out and say, I had a whole, let's call it what it is. It's not an entanglement, it's an affair. You had an affair with your son's best friend. Like, that's disrespectful to come out and say it with your husband on
And to your
social
son.
media where everybody can see it. That's your son. And now, before she wrote her book came out, she said that she did not tell Will Smith to slap Chris Rock, to assault him. She gave him no indicator to do that. She had no idea why he did it. Girl, yes, you did. Because we all saw
Mhm.
that look. That's the look of a woman telling her man, are you going to let this fool do this to me? ¿Vas a dejar que hable así
Mhm.
de mí? Like, you're not, you gave him the look that every man knows that my wife was bothered by this
Mhm.
man's comments and he reacted a certain way. And for me, because of how we've seen Will Smith and how we believed that their relationship was prior, I really wanted to separate the incident of the slap of the Oscars from the person and the actor's work. I really wanted to separate that moment from his, basically his profile, right? His portfolio of work. Now I feel like you're making it harder because you're coming out and saying we were separated for X amount of years. We weren't even together during the event. But when I saw that, I realized that that was my husband. At the same time, I was proposed to by Tupac. Tupac's no longer living. So why are you having his name in your mouth when his family is now grieving because even the investigation recently led to the capture of his murderer or the suspect of the murderer because nothing has been formally charged or convicted? So allegedly he's the one who did it. But you're doing this and you're opening up a lot of wounds for your children, for people who have
Mhm.
nothing to do with your family. So it's like that that type of chisme I think is not necessary. Like a lot of people are here for it. We're talking about it obviously, but it's not something that I feel like you should do. You should just keep it to yourself. People want to read your book, they'll read your book and they'll talk about your book. But do you need to go on national television or on like web channels to go talk about the incidents? You're entitled to your truth of your life, but you have no entitlement to the lives of others, which is the
So how I have a
children.
question though. How is that like your Tupac proposing to you, right? Let's
Mhm.
whatever talk about that. So like how did that affect your life? I like you obviously didn't marry him, so it didn't you didn't move forward with that. So like so what?
I don't believe it.
So like so what? Like
Uh,
what did
I,
what's the purpose of saying that? Like are you
yeah,
trying to like get clout off that? Like, oh, I could have pulled Tupac like
that's a
and
mhm.
what
hmm
how did you learn something from that? Did you are you trying to now say like I'm not understanding like you have a good ass husband who defends you who probably helped your career like that's what you need to be talking you need to be if it's in your book it needs to be because it brought you to who you are today.
Mhm.
A proposal that you didn't take, okay, and like what's the purpose?
yeah,
If,
Unless the only reason is to get clout off his name.
yeah,
yeah,
and you said it earlier. A lot of it's all about greed. You know, all of these they
Okay.
offer you some kind of money compensation to speak about something, whether it's true or not. It's unfortunate. A lot of people are very greedy, and they don't think about the wounds they're going to open or whatever they're going to do because at the end of the day, all they're thinking about is money.
Right.
To me, that's what she's gaining off of this besides the attention and the light coming on her and being on her because she is an attention seeker. And now, is Will Smith perfect? Of course not, especially because I've heard a lot of things recently that have come up on my social media about him and Diddy and all this other stuff, and it's disgusting. I just
yeah,
feel that it's I heard a name. They call it, instead of Hollywood, they call it Holly Weird because there's just too much going on there. And again, we have to think about these people were just normal, as whatever normal may be, just like you and I growing up. And then they came into this, I want to be an actor. I want to be a singer. I want to do this. And then whatever it is that they go through, a lot of people, it's like when you go into a church, you get baptized, or those that are in cults, or those that, I just feel when it comes to celebrity cheeseman, I'm here for a lot of it because at the end of the day, it's entertainment. And that's what it is, entertainment. However, I just feel like with her and Will, yes, everybody would talk about, oh, they have this perfect love, blah, blah, blah. But it's like in any relationship, whether you're a celebrity or not, nobody really knows what happens behind closed doors. A lot of us
Mhm.
put up fronts because I honestly feel that the verbal and emotional abuse is more frequent than the physical abuse. And I also feel that those who have been verbally and emotionally abused, that's even harder to get through because, un putazo se te quita like in a few days, like the pain goes away, the bruising goes away in a few days. But what's instilled in you that was said to you and how it made you feel, the words that came with, I feel that that's something that is, you can't ever, ever, ever take out of your soul, out of your brain, out of your heart, out of anything. So I feel domestic violence in general. I feel it's horrible, and a lot of people go through it. Especially like what's more known is the physical one. Oh, he beat her up, or she beat up her husband. But in reality, I feel it's deeper than that. So it's just hard. It's really hard because with celebrities, again, they're in the limelight. You and I will tell each other, "Hey, cousin, this," or "Hey, this happened to me," or "My boyfriend said this to me," and it's between us. But when you are a celebrity, it's out there. Even if you didn't tell a journalist or whatnot because you told one person and that person might have told somebody else, and then that person's like, "Oh, I got a juicy one on this person." So your life is going to be exposed more than anybody else's.
I think with like Will Smith and Jada, like even though it's not our business, in a way, it's stuff that I do want to know about. And the reason for that is you follow their career since they were younger. Like, for example,
Mhm.
with Will
Mhm.
Smith, with Fresh Prince of Bel Air, for example, I'm a fan of that
Yes.
show, right? So if there's things that they're not supposed to, or like with Jada with Set It Off, like I love that movie too. So it's like if they're doing things that obviously that you don't agree to, like you want to know because if you're supporting them, like I'm not going to
Right.
support if she's going to be like this person. And I feel like with Will Smith, he's always trying to, I feel like, live up to her approval. Like like no matter what he does, it's not for her, I feel. And he's like constantly trying to like prove himself. And she's like has this like she's very manipulative with him where she's making him constantly feel like he's not enough. He's not enough of a
Mhm.
man. Or maybe who knows, behind closed door compares him to like Tupac. Well, Tupac did this. He
Hmm.
was like he was more like a thug, and Will Smith is not like that. So
Mhm.
I feel like he's constantly trying to please her. She's very manipulative where she controls him, making him look bad. And she kind of feeds off that because she's a narcissist. And she loves the attention. And then with the kids, even though again it's not our business, but again we follow them right since they were born with like the
Hmm.
son, Karate Kid movie, super cute, the daughter with the music, so stuff like that we do. I feel like myself, I do want to know what they're doing because I want to know if I want to continue to support them.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Best money, like something comes out of like a movie or something. Do I really want to like spend my hard earned money to go support a person that's like this? So
Yeah,
depends
makes
on
sense.
yeah. Yeah. Unlike, the 16 and pregnant girl, like I don't care about her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's different, right? Because there are people that we maybe looked up to them, like, with their marriage, they had a perfect marriage, supposedly,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Other things, it's like, come on. Yeah. Really
And there are
sad.
people
I
who
feel
do it
so
well,
way
you know?
like he's being like mentally abused, emotionally abused. His manhood is being questioned too because it's like, why would you allow her to, like treat you like
Mhm.
that or like say things about you, make you put you in
Hmm.
a situation, basically makes you look like a punk, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And there are people who get out of the industry and they do it well. So such as like what's God, I'm gonna forget their name out of Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen.
Mhm.
They literally stopped acting and just solely focused on fashion lines after graduating in NYU. And we don't really hear a whole lot of chisme about what's going on with them. And I feel like people want to know because even when Bob Saget passed away, they wanted to know what their reaction was because they were on Full House with Bob Saget for 8 years of their childhood. But then you don't hear anything until John Stamos goes on a podcast show and says, "Oh yeah, they came to the funeral. That was really nice of them, and they had nothing but nice things to say about Bob Saget." And it's like, okay, but like I kind of want I do want to know what are they doing other than
Mhm.
just fashion. Like for them I want to know, but they're so good at keeping it private that no one knows really what they're going through. They only speculate that, oh, they're going through this and this and that, but it's never been confirmed. And then you have people that are their lawyers, their legal team shutting it down really quick before it even gets to
Mhm.
newsstands. So you have people like them who do really, really well. And then you have other people like Cole and Dylan Sprouse. I mean, we watched Cole Sprouse on God, what's it called? Riverdale for a while. And we didn't know what he even got a degree in university until after when he started promoting Riverdale, saying, I went and I got a degree in archaeology. I'm an archaeologist. I can travel around the
Mhm.
world looking for basically historical artifacts and be completely fine. And he just wants to do acting again. But again, there's that huge gap between when he stopped doing Disney to adulthood and then going back into the acting industry, but you hear nothing because their camps keep
Mhm.
everything very, very close. And then you have people like me and Melly talked about it last time, Oscar de la Hoya. We didn't know he had that many kids. And that was like chisme that was juicy because we thought he only had like what the three kids, and then it turns out he had two additional children, and we're like, wait a minute, this chisme is
Mhm.
juicy. Like what, how, where, and why? And you see it in his documentary, but I think there is when you're a child star, I think that there is a limit as to how much people can know about you in your adulthood because I don't think that's a lifelong contract, right? That you have to be in the public
Hmm.
eye. And especially when you're a child star growing up into an adulthood, your parents made those decisions for you as a child. Yeah, you may be like, I want to do this TV show, but they're the ones that sign the permission and the consent.
Hmm.
So how much is it that where you need to have that privacy, and can it be accomplished? It can be accomplished. Obviously, we've seen it. Do we want to know more, Chisme? I, as a '90s kid, yeah, I want to know a little bit more about Ashley and Mary Kate Olsen. Like, I honestly do.
Maybe they
I
want to
want to
be.
know what they're going through.
Maybe their
Hmm?
parents forced them, and then they became adults, and they're like, "Shit, I'm not trying to do this anymore."
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did
Well, and
something
I
else.
think there's a lot. I think there's just a lot in Hollywood in general. Like it really, it definitely makes me nervous. And the well, not our last guest because we haven't filmed in a while, but like T-Roy, I have a really good friend who's going to school,
Exactly.
getting
Yeah.
his master's to be in acting, and I've had the conversation with him a lot of times. I'm like, I 100% support you in acting, and I hope he gets all big and famous. And I always tell him, don't forget me when you become big and famous. But it really worries me because he's an amazing person, great, very family oriented, very still connected to where he came from, and it just scares me because I know Hollywood can change people, right? And so there's just I feel like just weird things that like you were saying, weird things that happen in Hollywood. People
Hmm.
change and people get into things that they wouldn't typically I feel like get into, and so it's scary, right? Like you have access to anything and everything, and so it's definitely makes me a little nervous
Anxious.
because
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to lose my friend. Like, I want my friend to stay who he is. And Hollywood can change people.
Yes.
But that's also scary for like children's stars. Like, would they be the same person if they didn't start off acting as children?
Hmm.
What happened to that one actor? What's his name? I don't know his name honestly, but he was on the Disney Channel. He came out in That's So Raven. Remember?
Uh huh.
Oh,
And look,
Orlando,
Orlando something.
yes,
Orlando
look at
Bloom
him
or
now.
Brown, Brown,
You know, what I mean? Like you
Brown.
would never think, and like he's
Yeah.
struggling with like addiction and all kinds of.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could
Because
easily.
you have
But I believe
so
him.
much. Like,
Hmm. He did say a lot of
you,
stuff.
I
People
believe
thought.
him.
Hmm.
I mean, you
I do.
just have it's just it's so scary. It's just
It just
and
proves my
even as
point that
adults.
Hollywood is weird. Holly weird. And again, I think that all these people that they call crazy that are speaking out on the weird stuff. Sorry, I was going to say a bad word. I have a body mouth. Um, those are the people that are actually telling the truth.
Yeah.
Honestly, and that's one thing. Like I trust my gut. I listen to my gut and my intuition, and I just feel bad for them. And I feel that the same reason, like I feel that because they're so young when they start, and then they're so easily like manipulated and, oh, let's do this or let's do that, and then they want them to do something else, or in order for you to do this you have to get into that. These kids, I feel again, they
Greed.
see so much, they hear so much, and they have
Young
to keep
age.
quiet for so long that after a while they're telling them you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. They're gonna believe it. They're going to believe it. It goes back to our conversation from
Mhm.
earlier: the manipulation, the gaslighting, the being in a narcissistic relationship. You're told things so much that you end up believing it. It goes to like anything, like I don't know, but all of these Disney kids, I just got issues with Disney now. I just I can't.
Yeah, they get introduced to they have to grow up so quickly, and they're introduced to
Mhm.
like drugs and other things. It's
Yeah.
so easy for them, right? So
Mhm.
I think there's a couple of child stars that actually they're successful, like Drew Barrymore, right? Like she's
Mm-hmm.
good, right? Only a few of them that you can say, okay, they do good for themselves and they're like mentally okay as adults, because you kind of
Mhm.
look back to a lot of these, 80s stars, 90s. Usually they're like in drugs, something's wrong with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they've been talking for a long time and nobody believes them
Mhm.
because they're basically drug users. So they're like, oh, they're crazy. I don't know what they're talking about.
Mhm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
it's like when starts to come out, it's like it all makes sense now. It was
Right.
true,
Mhm.
right? Yeah,
But
especially
even
with
Drew Barrymore, she had substance abuse issues as a young adult, not as a like I would say in her 30s, but it was when in her early night like 19, 20, somewhere
Mhm.
near there. And she talked about it. Like I was exposed to a different world.
who was
Well,
And
it?
how can you
I
not?
Drew Barrymore.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
How
she
can
had
you not?
substance
I mean,
abuse.
think about it though. Like you're expected to perform, right? Like nonstop. Like how do you not? It's physically impossible to not be on some substance. Like
Mhm.
you're expected to perform 24 hours a day. Like
yeah.
it's impossible for you not to, and that's what's
Mhm.
concerning.
She was an
Like
alcoholic. She started drinking since she was 9.
Mhm.
I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she was like, it
how are
took
you
forever.
expected to, I mean, just like and not even just acting, right? But look at like modeling.
Yeah.
Like
All the
I
industry
think
is ugly.
society I think is getting a little better at like being a little more like, okay, not everybody is going to be a size 2. Yes, there's size 2 women that are beautiful and naturally a size 2, and that's great and wonderful, but not everybody is a size 2. Not
Mhm.
everybody's big and curvy, and like we got a billion different sizes, and that's great. But for a long time, like, no, girl, you can't eat anything. But we're still pushing that agenda, and it's scary because this is what we're teaching, and this is what we are
Yeah.
like.
And
Yeah, but
It's just
it's
crazy.
even like when you said modeling, look at the influencers that we follow. They may not be models, but they do campaigns and they're ambassadors for companies such as
Hmm.
like Savage X Fenty or Adore Me. We have Candy Lover 89 who constantly gets talked about when it comes to her weight and her size, but she's a thicker girl. Like, so what? Or Crystal Herrida, who is a
Hmm.
influencer. She has her own company, and people are like, "Oh, your ankles are looking a certain way. You have
Right,
this disease." Like, no one's
right.
asking you your opinion or your medical diagnosis that you get from Google. Like, that's
And they're
not
gorgeous. Like,
right.
they're gorgeous people. Like, Candy is freaking, like, freaking gorgeous. Like, personality wise, and the way she looks. Like, I'm like,
Hmm.
dude, she got a killer body. I don't know what y'all talking about.
Hmm.
I don't want to be, yeah, like, I do not want to, I don't prefer to be skin and bones. Like,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
I want to be, like, I want my man to have something to grab onto.
I
Yes.
just want to stay warm when
Like,
it's cold.
that, that part. Like,
You know what? Social media, I feel like it's one of those things where it does good, but then it's also toxic, right? So I feel like now with everything being recorded, like back in the days, like Drew Barrymore, Angelina Jolie era, like these like rock stars, we didn't have like everything we have now, like even how we're communicating
yeah.
right. So a lot of people would get away with a lot of things, doing things to these kids, because there was like no proof. And I think now with everybody having like a phone, recording things happening, like now things are starting to like come out to the light. Now you
Hmm.
can't really go to a party and be and try to have a good time because somebody's going to be recording you, right? Somebody's
Hmm.
going to
Hmm.
look crazy and they're like recording you. So like I feel like
Hmm.
now it's like so different, and especially with like the models, for example, like now you got people commenting like, okay, well, no, she looks beautiful, like curvy, this and that. So it's not like you have to be a size 2, right, in order to
Hmm.
Yeah.
be. I feel like there's more acceptance now with different body types, how you look. Obviously you're always going to get those people that are going to be having something negative to say. They're miserable with their lives, but for the most part, it's like there's a lot of like big models, and I love it,
Hmm.
and I feel like everybody's beautiful in their own way, and like now it's like they're
Hmm.
supporting them more now because we have these platforms where people can actually make a comment, and like before, like everything was like behind closed doors, nobody knew anything. So I mean,
Yeah.
all we can do is I think with like what's happening, even like shifting gears with like Puff Daddy, where they're coming up and like accusing him of things like from so many years ago.
Hmm.
And now they're speaking up, and like now it's like again, you support somebody like that. He has his kids, and you're like, okay, he's been a good person. Now you hear all these negative things about him, and it's like even though it's not our business, but like we want to, right? Because like, do I
Yeah.
continue to?
I'm invested in that.
Yeah.
right?
I think it's,
That's
but
Chisme
it's
I want to
also
know.
I am.
Same.
right. It's also going to always be like that's going to always bring money too, right? Like
Mhm.
when it comes down to it, it's always going to be about money. Like you're not going to talk about things that aren't going to bring you money and that aren't going to bring you attention, good or bad. I mean,
He did
people
it all.
are always going to be right, but people are still going to talk about it, which are going to bring
Yeah.
the good
And it
people and
goes
the
back to
bad.
the beginning. People say money is the root of all evil. It's not the money, it's the greed
Hmm.
that we as human
Hmm.
beings have
Right.
towards having that, like you said earlier, Kai, like just having money, making money out of anything, the greed
Yeah.
of it. Greed is the root, not the money
Hmm.
itself, because money can buy happiness. Because if I want a burger, it's going to make me happy if I
Right.
got money to buy it. So,
Right.
if I want my Starbucks, money is going to make me
Right.
happy, but it's the
Right.
greed, the want, the desire, the lust over the money. Like you have to have it,
Hmm.
regardless if you're going to hurt somebody, regardless if, and I mean, and like Melly said, it, all of this has existed since the beginning of time.
Hmm.
All of it, the raping, the drugging, the everything, has always existed. However, we did not have social media, so where it can travel as fast as it did, or we can see it with our own eyes. Back in the day, it was more like, hey, did you hear about so and so and so and so? And there was no proof.
Hmm.
So, it was just like, oh, you're just talking smack, or but it's always existed. Kids have always been kidnapped, raped, sex trafficking, all of this stuff.
Hmm.
Celebrities have always been in the mouths and eyes and ears of everybody, but there was no proof. Like a lot of people are judging that girl, Cassie, I believe is her name. Why did she
Cassie
wait 10
Ventura.
years to say something about Diddy? Because if you are a domestic violence survivor or whatever you want to call it, it takes a long time. You don't
Hmm.
Yeah.
always come out and say, hey, so and so did this to me, or, I went through this, because I mean, you're still processing. Like,
Hmm.
who, a lot of people do it over money, for money, again, for money. I feel that she is in it for the money. However, she's also in it to slowly expose what's going on. And if she can make money out of it, she's going to do it.
She
So
was
look,
very
from like
fit. Like he was way older than he was. I mean, he could have
mhm.
easily manipulated her, right? I mean, I
Yeah,
feel
she
like
was
she
19 when he first got her.
He was 30
19.
something. He was like
and
almost 40.
no, and then he has all this money, so obviously it's intimidating for her, right? Like, how are they going to believe it? So it's his word against
Hmm.
mine, right? Like he's
Hmm.
going to basically like it's I feel like it's a battle with her, right? Like I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna say this, but really he has like this big following. People follow Diddy, right? And he has all this money. Like, are they gonna believe me? There's a lot of uncertainty, right? So I feel like with her, I believe her, and like he was so quick to pay her off, like he did it.
Hmm.
He did it.
Hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
mean, if he feels like he was just trying, like she's trying to sabotage him or just trying to get money
Fight
out of
it.
it, he would have to court and been like, I'm not giving you $30, but he gave her. Why? Because it's the truth. I believe it.
Hmm.
And let me tell you why I think
Follows.
she's entitled to that money. Because when he met her, she was 19. She was coming out. She had the her "Me and You" song that was a really big hit. It was on the top of the charts at the time. He still owns her on his label. He has not released her. So all of her money, everything is his. Then he got in a relationship with her, did not have albums come out, did not have her doing any performances. She's not making any money. So now she's living off of him and what he is willing to give her. So then they break up, and again, she can't go perform because she's signed under his label. He controls everything. He can control where she goes to perform, what shows that she can go on, things like that. He has the final say if she can or cannot. So if
Mhm.
she's paying for her own insurance, because a lot of these celebrities and entertainers, they have to get their own insurance outside of the label because it's not like a regular 9 to 5 job. So now she has to pay for her own mental health therapies, counselings, all those things that comes out of pocket. She has to
Hmm.
pay out of pocket whatever her insurance plan may be only covering X%. So now she's like, "Hey, I need money to cover the cost for me to be okay." That's what I need. And that's all she was asking, was like for pain and suffering, and for her to be able to treat herself to mental health facilities that they can help her recuperate from the trauma that she endured. But then you have people that were in his camp, in his corner, speaking out saying, oh, yeah, I believe this because there was an incident allegedly, because we have no proof of it, and the person who was the victim is deceased. Kim Porter. He beat her face so bad that she needed a nose job on an airplane. We all saw and heard it. But where were you during that time when she's getting beat? Like, you didn't think to step in as a man, like you see this other man hitting her in the face and you do nothing? So you're gaining from something from it too by saying, "Yep, I remember the incident with Kim Porter, who was she was a model. So she had to get a nose job, and that affects her career based off of her catalog." So do things like Diddy's situation and all the things that are coming out need to be heard? I think so. Yeah, that's Chisme that absolutely needs to be spoken on
Hmm.
and heard. And
I'm all in of that one for it.
You know, and it's like a bunch of cowards, right? Like, why wouldn't you never say nothing? Like, you know, if you were there, you witnessed it. Like, why? Like, you were so like, I feel like people like he's paying his people to just basically not say anything, right? And obviously they have like non-disclosure, so they can't really speak on anything. But that's
I
just
don't think I think with non-disclosures though, you can't if it's breaking the law that you're that non-disclosure that's out the window. Like
Yeah.
you can't pay like that's mob mentality. Like that
yeah,
doesn't apply. That doesn't fly in court like that.
yeah,
And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But like you can't do that.
yeah.
Like you can't pay
And
somebody
it's
to witness a crime and then not do anything about it. So
like
like
scared.
if you saw that and you're not saying anything, then like shame on you. That goes against you too. Like I have no sympathy towards none of it. Um, I think that's it's I don't know. I kind of have mixed feelings. I try to stay out of a lot of it because if Kim, because I think we talked about it. Anyways, if Kim Porter's not around, because I think definitely the you know he beat her face into where she needed a nose job. I think that could go either way. Like I don't know nothing about that. I haven't really followed. I try to stay out of social media, like popular opinions and different things like that, because I have enough emotional trauma in my own reality, and so I need to stay far away from everybody else's. But when it comes to like celebrities taking advantage of people who may not have the most money, 100% I think it happens, but I also think it goes the other way too, where women take advantage of that and are down to sleep with artists and then want to turn the table. I think it definitely goes both ways, and I'm not vested enough into the situation to know the difference or to kind of step into that. So I try to leave that where it's
see,
at.
and that
Um, good.
also say social media, like you saying, like, I stay out of social media because all these things that like come out, like I don't need to be invested in that. I feel the same way when it comes to Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey. I don't need to know that y'all are dating. I really don't give a shit. I just care about football, and I want to hope that my team beats your team every time. Like I don't
Wait, so
really
you
But
don't like
care.
Taylor
you
Swift's
don't care.
music?
I like her music, but I don't care who she's dating. Like, I don't care when people are like, no one knew who Travis Kelsey was. I knew who he was, but I watch football. I'm an avid football watcher. Our family is like a big time Raider fans, and we have a couple Niner fans. But like, you mean to tell me that no one in the world knew? And they're like, his jersey sales went up. Well, yeah, because all her fans are trying to support what is now her man. But I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, I want your team to lose. Like, at the end of the day, that's all I care about.
I hate that when people like to jump in the what do they call it, the bandwagon of something.
Bandwagon?
Like now all of a sudden they're gonna buy her. Dumb. Like just
Look,
And
y'all
individual.
that's
better
why I
support
don't
my
have an
man.
iPhone and I
Look.
still have an Android because, first of all, I can't afford it. Second of all, I ain't jumping on no damn bandwagon and having an iPhone like everybody else. Catch me
That's
outside
right. So you
with
need
my
to
Android.
download the app.
First generation. I've had the iPhone since like the first generation, and let me tell you, I try to jump to a different phone because obviously, like I feel like what is it, the Samsung and other phones have better like quality as far as pictures. But I was so lost when I was trying to like, and then I'm like, I have to download apps again, and you're telling me I can't group message, like I can't do these things. I was like, oh no, so I had to go
Oh,
back
you
to an
can?
iPhone.
You can't.
No,
They just try to like because they just want your money. Not with
well,
the
I
Android.
not deal
once your iPhone, you can't
lost.
like it's so hard to go back because you're
You're
like
used to have to buy apps.
you're just iPhone. Yeah. Yeah, you're
Like
just
all these
iPhone. Well, and
like
then you have like your everything else like syncs. It's just it's
yeah.
It's
we're
easier,
brainwashed.
and Clara makes our chat scream, which annoys me. But
They're gonna turn blue soon. Apple's gonna change that. Don't worry. I'll be in the blue little bubble soon.
okay, great,
Um
because I really hate the green bubbles. I'm like,
Why do you hate the green bubble? That just makes me
I hate
different. And
green.
like, like green
Y'all
represents
care
money,
too
homegirl.
much.
Green
Y'all
represents
care
money.
too
Money, money,
much.
money, money. Get it, player.
That's the only green I like, but I don't like the
come
green
on,
bubbles. But it's
Yes.
even like those things that like damn, like I really don't care who you're dating. And mind you, she's dated like 30 people, like 40.
Hard. I feel again with celebrities, going back to our original topic, it's really hard because they are exposed to so much more than we are on our daily lives. And these people have to kind of either put up a front, be somebody they're really not, or, I don't know. I just feel that it's so much more difficult as a
Hmm.
celebrity to try to live a life of love, of fun, of enjoyment, of family, because you have like the hawks on you all the time. Like, you can't even fart in peace because, somebody's
Mm,
going to say, oh, God. So it's like, I don't know. I just,
You can never make a mistake.
I'm glad I'm not a
There's just so much
celebrity.
more you
I'd
need to
love to
know.
have the millions, but I'm just glad I'm not a celebrity because let me tell you, a
yeah.
homegirl likes to fart in peace.
More
I
money,
just
more
don't need to
problems.
know who they're dating and why when they've obviously only been
But if
dating
it
for
was,
like 5
but if it
seconds.
was somebody, if it was somebody you were super interested, excuse me, sir,
Yeah.
Camilla would like to know if it was somebody you were interested in or like you were heck of following, you would want to know.
Yeah. I agree.
I honestly didn't want to know like when Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey were dating and they came out. Like I didn't need to know that. My feelings did not need to get hurt. When I found out that Chris
Yes,
Evans
you
got
did.
married, my feelings did not need to get hurt. Like I did not need to know that. But even Jason Momoa, the fact that he's getting divorced, I needed to know that because my feelings are no longer going to be hurt. But there we go. I just didn't need to know
Don't
the
be a
rest, right?
hypocrite.
I don't need to know.
Don't be a hypocrite.
I don't
Mate.
need to know who Taylor Swift is dating. I can care less. Like,
But
as long as Travis
let it
Kelsey
be.
I
loses
do,
a
because then
game, I'll be
after
happy.
they break up, she's going to be writing some killer ass songs. So
That
I
Yeah.
kind
part.
of do need to know who she's dating because she be
Yeah.
writing them songs.
We need to
I
know who the songs are about.
no, but the thing is I think that again, if you don't care for that celebrity, then you don't
Yeah,
care. But if somebody you follow and you like to
Yeah.
invested.
music, then I guess it does matter, right?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, some chisme is good chisme, some chisme is just eh. And sometimes we just don't need to know. Take us out of your live text chat because, especially Jada Pickett, you scare us. We know you can get crazy from Set It Off, but we didn't know that you can get crazy in real life. Like, just, you know, take us
I
out
don't
of
know.
the
That
chat.
wasn't a role. That wasn't
I
scripted.
don't know. Depends on what people. I think that's true too. Like I don't know, something about her. I feel like she's kind of like faking the funk. I don't know.
Yeah.
She
Some
is.
like
Facts.
It's all a lie. It's all
yeah,
attention.
like funk. Like I feel like no, I don't know. Something about her ain't right. And
Right.
It's
poor
There's a
Will.
not.
lot
I'm
of things
scared.
that
She
ain't
scares
right.
me.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side, and she's over here. I feel like Will. We don't know again what happens behind closed doors, but I feel like he could have been a good husband to her, and she's just not satisfied.
They
And the
change
person
us.
never going to be
It's not
satisfied.
enough. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
Honey.
not enough. But we're gonna cut this short because it's gone a little longer. We
Okay.
will be having a breakups part 2 with our friend Josh from the Gorp Show, who's affiliated with the Sad Fan Podcast Network. Go ahead and check them out. It'll be breakups part 2. Can you stay friends with your ex? And what is a healthy breakup? What is the definition of that? Also, you guys just leave in the comments. Do you think Diddy's doing everything that they say he's doing?
Yes.
Because I kind of want to
Oh,
know where everybody's at. I want a consensus of that, so that way I know whose side I'm on. Most of the time, it's going to be Cassie's. But anyways, thanks everybody for joining us. Check out Melly's TikTok at Melly 715.
715.
Delicious recipes are on there. Just don't look at them when you're hungry, because then you're gonna get hungrier and it's a pain in the ass.
Yes, they do be
Um,
bomb. I don't cook. I don't cook like as often as I wish I could, but go check out her recipes. They're delicious.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. Next time invite me, we can just have some regular Chisme talk and just talk about random things, right?
Yes.
Huh?
yeah.
Target
We need to
loopholes.
talk about the Target wormholes, loopholes, rabbit holes that we fall into. We go for one thing at Target. Next thing you know, you have 5 things in your cart that turn into
No.
10 things in your cart. And
I need to
Well,
go
I
to
thought
Target
just
right
like
now.
the rabbit holes in general, because there's hella rabbit holes about life. Like, yes. Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, like
Love
your
trying
Starbucks cups.
Okay.
with the rules and
Oh yeah,
everything
I
else.
want that one.
I'm like, I'm still gonna go.
I am addicted to these. Okay. Toodles.
Okay,
Are we
love you
leaving?
All
guys.
right.
Bye.
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 Thanks for tuning in, mi gente. Remember to tell your friends to tell their friends so that way we can be friends. Con todo se puede hablar. Adiós, bendiciones.